Flop albums with hit singles. What happens when you can't strike gold more than once? Sometimes you're left with an album in the dust. Sometimes the album serves as a house for the smash hit, and everything else is secondary to it. Other times there are genuinely thorough albums tucked away, and the smash song was the outlier and selling point of an otherwise more eclectic album that might be a little too left field to appeal to mainstream audiences. When I thought of this video, the very first song that came to my mind was Miley Cyrus's Flowers, the biggest hit of the year, completely inescapable, and Miley's big comeback moment. After the gem that was Plastic Hearts, I was hoping that Flowers was just a big comeback radio single, and that the album itself would dive into more interesting sounds and personal themes. And boy, was I wrong. It's a bland album, and as much as I feel Flowers is middle of the road, I do think it's the most catchy and instant song on the record. And also Miley's voice sounds stellar on it. Funny enough, I had previously compared the song to Miley's 2017 song Malibu, and I didn't expect it to have a similar fate, but it did. Endless Summer Vacation proved to not have any lasting impact outside of Flowers commercially. Zayn with Pillow Talk, which was a #1 song in various countries including the US and the UK. His debut song was absolutely inescapable, especially coming off of the One Direction hype. But unfortunately, his following singles failed to gain an equal amount of traction, and his biggest songs since then have been features. While Mind of Mine was far from a failure, Pillow Talk was by far and wide its only moment. Dawn FM by The Weeknd, great album, very intricate and cohesive, but unfortunately I believe it was released a bit too close under After Hours' reign, so it didn't necessarily get its proper just due. When this album was released, After Hours singles were still sitting in the top 10 of the charts, which led to Take My Breath Away being the only real moderate hit or hit at all from this great album. How could we talk about this subject without mentioning one of the most ill-fated choices for a lead single in pop history, with Miss Rae Jepson's I Really Like You, which unfortunately painted her into a corner as a one-trick pony. Although it is a good pop song, there were so many options and so many stronger choices. I Really Like You managed to reach the top 40 in multiple countries and had a big star-studded music video. While critics and pop fans everywhere would spend the eternity trying to explain that Rae Jepson is more than the Call Me Maybe girl, this song did a little bit for her career. But thanks to the Emotion album and her various albums since then, she's an underground pop icon. Britney Jean by Britney Spears was a true disaster of an album that felt vague and impersonal despite its title. It's an album that should have honestly never happened because it's Maya Jean. Maya Marie, Britney's background singer, is very prominent on this album. Work Itch was the only hit from this album, and it's fun, it's okay. You know, I can see it especially appealing to a Zumba class. Over a decade after its release, it still hasn't sold 500,000 copies. I will say I think the song Perfume is good and mature, and maybe should have been the benchmark for the direction of the entire album. Justin Bieber with Changes. This man has had steady and huge success since before he hit puberty. But Changes was a real blip in his career, not only commercially but artistically. It was a pretty bad album. Terrible lead single with Yummy, and an even worse rollout surrounding the promotion of the song. Yummy was the only hit from this album, and it felt more like a laughingstock, as well as an attraction for conspiracy theorists. It also had comeback hype. Justin did manage to get another medium hit with this album cycle, and that was Intentions, which I do like better. There's nothing outstanding about it, but it's the type of song you play when you want background music that doesn't stimulate you. But to say the least, Changes came and went considerably faster than any era or album he had released before. But the thing about Justin Bieber is his flops are really only flops for his standards. He's the ultimate coaster of the pop world. He's built up so much name recognition and is a hits machine, and in that sense I feel he'll always have a big hit or two, because he's a pop radio darling. Scarlet by Doja Cat is essentially the Paint the Town Red album, just as Endless Summer Vacation is the Flowers album, Endless Scarlet Vacation. Sam Smith with Gloria. I've talked about this era in bits and pieces, and I think most people understood what I was saying, but some people hear what they want to hear, and you have to over-explain on the internet sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with Sam Smith embracing a freer, creative space, That's what being an artist is all about. At the same time, just because Sam is embracing something new doesn't mean it's without its flaws. And I guess my personal feelings towards the unholy transformation and whatnot is that I feel it's all led by vanity. It tries to be shocking, and perhaps it's visually shocking to some people, but the music and message itself is just super empty. There's nothing going on. And I don't think the music is that good to justify a shock jock vanity project. Like the song Unholy, it has grown on me in the most general sense, the type of song you bop your head to if it comes on, but it's not something you really seek out. And the most unholy thing Sam and Kim could talk about was infidelity, which is just funny to me considering all the over-the-top imagery. Don't get me wrong, infidelity is certainly bad and perhaps unholy, but it just comes across so disjointed with the type of antics that were presented.